begins to imagine that there is no limit. The Bible is a very unusual book, because there are incredible testimonies. You mean you come across a widow, a woman that is called Mary, never met a man before and become pregnant. The purpose of this in scriptures is to bring us to a point where we can say all things are possible. So as preachers, we cannot be carrying these incredible books and place limitations on what God can do, on what God can accomplish. Let's go back to our text very briefly before my time elapses. The Bible told us of a prophet of God who is the servant of Elijah, and then the man feared God. Now, the way the man died, and then how he mortgaged the destiny of his children, to me is an oxymoron. It does not fit. You cannot fear God and then be a stoke of Elisha and die poor. You did not only die poor, you mortgage your children to collect loan. That was the height of the man's poverty. And ladies and gentlemen, can I say this to you? Are you aware that the man lived under that kind of a very terrible poverty because he placed limitation on what Elisha was capable of doing in his life? If he had known what the wife knew, he wouldn't have died in debt. If he had even understood that the fear of God is not synonymous to poverty, he would have accessed wisdom that comes by the fear of God and be able to walk his way out of poverty and then live prosperity for his children instead of turning them as bondmen by mortgaging them for a credit. So there are many of us here who are preachers of the same incredible book, who fear the Lord genuinely, but our life is not a reflection of what God can do, the God we preach. Our life is not a reflection of the capabilities and the ability and the prosperity and the opportunities that lie in the book we carry. So, and I believe the reason for that is because of the limitation we have placed consciously or unconsciously. And ladies and gentlemen, why I was trying to celebrate this woman for discovering the enormous deposit of divinity in the life of our own pastor, in the life of our own prophet. By running to him, I only discover that she equally didn't maximize the opportunity provided her by the instruction of the man of God. Ladies and gentlemen, take a look at this scripture again. It will amaze you the opportunity that woman missed. The man of God said to her, "What do you have in your house?" She says, "Small oil." And he said to her, "That oil is about to launch you into an enviable status, immeasurable wealth. And then this is what you need to do. Before the fountain opens up, borrow vessels." And in case you don't understand English, go abroad. If you exhaust the vessels in Jerusalem, travel abroad to Syria, take visa to Iran, go to Jordan, go abroad and make sure that you have enough inexhaustible containers before the fountain opens up. Because when the fountain opens up, it's not going to stop until every empty vessel is filled. Child of God, probably, I don't know if she understood what the man said. She went and borrowed vessel, but I don't believe she went abroad. And I didn't believe she obeyed by not borrowing a few. She borrowed just few. The man told her, as you read the scripture, borrow not a few. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure she just felt, well, let me not just embarrass myself and borrow containers that at the end it will not be filled. Let me manage the one my sons can put in our house and in our parlor. And ladies and gentlemen, when she said, "I am set," the oil began to flow. The oil flowed, the containers were filled, and then she saw that the fountain was still rushing. And she said to the children, "Bring me more container." And the children said, "Mama, the containers are finished." As soon as it was finished, the supernatural source stopped. As soon as the fountain sensed a limitation, it ceased. As soon as the fountain knew that there was no longer room to accommodate the flow, on its own accord, it stopped. Ladies and gentlemen, can you imagine if this woman had truly borrowed vessels? Can you imagine if this woman has truly gone abroad? Can you imagine if this woman had truly borrowed not a few? I wish she had understood the technology of our time and created NNPC tankers. Constructed pipes where the fountain and that small bottle of oil was. Ladies and gentlemen, for as long as there are empty vessels, the oil would have continued to flow. Am I talking to somebody here? So she missed an opportunity to be an oil baron, an oil tycoon. She missed an opportunity to have left prosperity, not only for herself, to have left prosperity, not only for her children. She missed an opportunity to leave prosperity for posterity. She could have had so much wealth that till her generation expires, they will never be poor. But the oil stopped when she stopped and placed the limitation on the numbers of a container. Can I say this to you? I believe, and I say this with due respect, the reason why God has not been able to do the things we desire in our lives, in our ministries, in accomplishing our vision, is because of the limitations unconsciously we have placed on his abilities, on his capabilities, and on the opportunities he has given to us. That is the reason why today, and let me say this, I say this with sincerity, until as pastors we take off the limit, we will pastor pinjomic, microscopic, and myopic members that are only waiting for handouts, who eat only from hand to mouth and don't understand how to play in a bigger stage. Because as pastors, we have placed limitations on what God can do. Anytime God is unable, anytime God cannot, anytime God has not checked properly, it's not about God, it's about the limitations you place on his abilities. Every time God sends a limitation, ladies and gentlemen, he stops. Are you aware the Bible speaking said, and he went into Nazareth and could not do, not because he cannot, but because of the limitation they place, he could not perform. Are you aware that the nicknames, the names of God, no matter what name you still have in your memory, Jehovah Jireh, Jehovah Shammah, El Shaddai, Adonai, Jehovah Nisi, are you aware? They are not nicknames. They are what is available, capable, and able to do.